And our top focus continues to remain on the SCO summit now after historic handshake with Xi Jinping yesterday. Prime Minister Modi is all set to hold bilateral talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. Just hours from now, the big meeting will be held. All eyes now remain on the big Modi-Putin bilateral that is all set to begin just hours from now. Before that, SCO leaders will be meeting in Tianjin in China. So all eyes today are on the bilateral meeting between India and Russia. My colleague Gaurav Sawant is now joining us from Tianjin with all the latest details. Gaurav, what all is on the agenda of the much anticipated India-Russia bilateral that is all set to be held today?
It's a big day at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. It's made headlines even in China. So let's begin by looking at the China Daily. This is a prominent newspaper here in China. And the China Daily, in its English version, has the Prime Minister's meeting with the Chinese President on the front page. The story is partnership seen as vital for Sino-Indian relations. Of course, this has the Chinese perspective on the story where China wants India and China to be seen as partners and not rivals, and how to take this relationship forward. It does note that when Wang Yi, the Chinese foreign minister, state councillor and member of the Politburo and also the special representative on boundary talks on August 19, when he came to India, in his interactions with his Indian counterpart, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, there was a consensus on how the boundary issue is to be taken forward and how peaceful borders are essential for this relationship to move forward. This notes, and if I may, it's very significant when it says President Xi welcomed Modi on the sidelines of SCO, which marked the Indian leader's first visit to China since 2018. Then it notes that on the 19th of August, Beijing and New Delhi reached a 10-point consensus on boundary management during talks between the special representatives, signaling the latest step towards stabilizing engagement and cooperation between the two neighbors. And then President Xi's take on how this relationship needs to move forward and how it's beneficial for the global south. So while China wants, the boundary perspective to be one part of the relationship, to keep in mind the overall strategic perspective and how India and China can play a very significant role. Very significant, Anjali, if I may, if China only practices what it preaches, then this region would be far more peaceful and this cooperation could move forward. So that's one part of it. 26 heads of state and government are here as part of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. There are 10 international organizations, including UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who are here. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be having a very significant meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. And that meeting is something that the whole world is watching. Remember, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, he dialed Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He called up Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he hoped that, the Prime Minister would be able to play a role, whether it's dialogue between Russia and Ukraine. Remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had traveled both to Moscow and to Kiev in an effort to see whether India has a role to play or could do anything to bring about peace between the two countries. But will reduction of Indian procurement of Russian oil bring about peace, as the Americans say? Clearly not, Anjali, given the fact that China buys more oil and European Union buys more gas, and there are no sanctions on them, at least not just as yet.